Devlin, Untamed.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Platform.
iOS, it's only sport. Martin Devlin, Lachlan War. This is the podcast of our show that airs on the Platform live 1 till 4 every afternoon. If you didn't know that, you can download the Platform app. Platform New Zealand, listen to us 3 hours every afternoon. Or if you can't do that, next best thing is this. The highlights of today's show. Discussing, amongst other topics, the Warriors' alarming drop-off in form and results. Means that this match against Newcastle Knights coming up as a must-win. The Blues ticking every box in Super Rugby. Are they looking likely? Is it really their year? The New Look Nations Championship International Rugby Competition looks like it's going to be played in Qatar. The Black Caps reveal the teal. It's new, but it's old. A bit like Tim Southey. Is this team the team that can go further than any other Black Caps side in white ball international competitions and finally win one? Is Samipeni Finau exactly what the All Blacks need? A scary monster making huge tackles? Who won out of the NFL draft? All of that. And as they say, much, much more. We begin the show the same way every day. Tablets in hand, gather my flock. It is time for a sermon. What about them Warriors? Let's go to the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Warriors faithful, I am worried. Yes, I'm worried. I'm not panicked, but concerned. Definitely concerned. Look, we aren't playing great. We all know that. The last 3 games, very underwhelming. Not that we haven't had good moments in each of those games, just not enough of them. Lacking consistency. Andrew Webster, very honest as always yesterday, saying that when we're playing well, we're as good as anyone in the comp. When we're not playing well, we're as bad as anyone in the comp. He's 100% right. Now, blame it on whatever or whoever you like. We can all find someone or something to point the finger at, but that's not the point. What is simply scoring more than them. RFI, room for improvement, much improvement. Truth is, we've shat the bed several times already this year, and that is why I'm concerned. Melbourne, a game that should have been won. The Sharks and the Titans started off like a rocket in both games, looked totally dominant in both games early, couldn't convert and ended up paying the price. I repeat, this is a doing league, not a talking league. So bringing up injuries and other excuses are just that. They're excuses. We had great starts against St. George, against the Sharks, against the Titans. We lost all 3 of those games. Yeah, could have, maybe should have won them, except for going right off the boil after starting so well. And that is also the concern. We're starting well, but we're not finishing well. Last year, we did both. We started well and we finished well. So what's gone wrong? This is the league in a sentence. You know, you've got to win these games. Melbourne Sharks, Titans, you add those 3 wins and it takes you from a 3-1-4 to a 6-1-1 and suddenly you are top 4. The next 3 games then are so important. Away the Knights, away the Roosters, home Penrith. Well, let's add in the Dolphins as well. The next 4 games, 2 out of those 4 have got to be won. 3 out of 4 would put the season well on track. Remember to make the 8. To finish in 8th, you've got to win at least 13 games. So from here, that means 10 wins from the next 16. If you want to win that premiership, and remember it was after Souths, it was only a few weeks ago, a lot of Aussie commentators were saying, hey, this team can go all the way. Well, to do that, you've got to get past the Sharks, you've got to get past Melbourne, you've got to get past Brisbane, you've got to get past Penrith. Beating the Knights in Newcastle on Sunday, it'd be a great place to start with.
Devlin.
What do you want? We want information. Information. You won't get it.
The Platform.
What have we got as far as the headlines are concerned, Lachlan?
Where to start? Olympics related. Swimming world champions Lewis Clareburt and Erica Fairweather have been named for their second Olympic Games. The pair announced today, in the 9-strong swim team that will compete in Paris in July. Great news. In terms of the other names, I have them here. Hazel, this is a really tricky name, Weaverhand. Ouwehand.
I'll accept all 3.
Weaverhand. I'm going to guess it's that. Hazel Weaverhand. Cameron Gray, Taiko Torepi Ormsby, Caitlin Deans, Letitia Lee Transom, and Kane Follows. They can't be the only ones. No, Eve Thomas in there as well. She was also at the Tokyo Olympics. Eve Thomas named as well. So that's our swim team. That's quite a nice group. Maybe some medal chances in Clareburt and Fairweather, perhaps. Maybe. We'll see. They are world champions, as as you know. Rugby could be headed to the Middle East, with Qatar reportedly making a shock pitch to host the newly minted Nations Championship. I've got to be honest, I'm not totally shocked because they're dipping their toes in every single sport around the world, the Middle East. The Daily Mail reporting that Qatar has proposed a 3-day event, tentatively referred to as the Super Bowl of Rugby, to host the deciding fixtures starting in 2026. More rugby news. England international Billy Vunipola was arrested and fined after an incident at a nightclub in the Spanish island of Mallorca, in which police officers reportedly used a taser to subdue him twice. The first time they hit his wallet, the second time they actually managed to get him. Manchester United are willing to listen to offers for virtually all their first-team players this summer, as Sir Jim Ratcliffe looks to turn the club back into challenges for major honour. So no one's safe. Well, didn't they say that when Rangnick took over and then left, that no one's safe? Everyone's...
Who wants? Apparently that there's Mainu, there is Garnacho, and...
You're doing well.
Yeah, that's about it. I think everyone else is up for sale.
What about
Yes.
Onana? You can't sell Onana.
Sell a lot of them, mate.
No, Onana's
Beat
actually
the
been
manager
good.
and sell a lot of them.
Okay. Liverpool fully expects Mohamed Salah to stay this summer and are planning on the basis of the 31-year-old Egyptian being part of their squad next season. This is being reported by The Athletic. Pretty reliable source, I think, The Athletic. Jamie Vardy's double helped Leicester City clinch the championship title in English football as the already promoted Foxes cruised to a crowning victory at Preston North End 3-0 final score. The Central Pulse and Mainland Tactics are the only unbeaten sides after 3 rounds of the ANZ Premiership. The Tactics beating the Northern Mystics last night, 62-59. They've called it an upset win, this website that I'm reading off. I think it's stuff. Obviously, the Mystics defending champs. They did lose Grayson Weke. This is the main concern here. There is no further update on the Silver Ferns and Mystics star goal shooter in Weke, who left the court with a knee injury midway through the final quarter. Knee injuries, netball, not a nice mix at all. NFL news, and the reason why this is relevant is because it involves Taylor Swift. Travis Kelce has re-signed with the Kansas City Chiefs to a 2-year deal, just over $34 million deal that is. What does this mean? More Taylor on screens. I got to wonder if that the NFL actually maybe went to Kansas City and said, hey, why don't you re-sign Travis? Because commercially we're actually doing really well with Taylor Swift on your screens and the stands, and her bringing this new fan base to us. Just a thought. And finally, the NBA, a couple of playoff games going on today. More than a couple, actually. I think there's 3 in total. There are 3. The Miami Heat, the Boston Celtics, third quarter, nearly the end of the third quarter. Martin, have you seen the score in this game?
No, I'm watching the other game. Okay, CNN.
81-56 to the Celtics on the road in game 4. 25-point lead. Jeez. The Pelicans and the Thunder, 25 apiece in the second quarter. Thunder lead that series 3-0, so if they can win that, they sweep the Pelicans. And at 2 o'clock today, tipping off game 5 between the Lakers and the Nuggets in Denver. Denver wins, they win the series. Lakers win, they survive another game, and they'll return to LA for game 6. That's what's making news, madam.
Devlin,
You've gotta love sport.
the platform.
Mark Watson, the ATM podcast, episode 81 today. He joins us every Tuesday, international commentator of much renown. Watto talking about the Blues. Can they win it all? Samipeni Finau, is this exactly what the All Blacks need? And should Tim Southee be going to the T20 World Cup and spearheading the New Zealand bowling attack? Watto, do we need to rewrite the Warriors script after the last 3 performances, none of which have been convincing?
Oh, look, absolutely. I mean, they're just not as good as they're being made out to be. They were a good side last year. It's a different competition this year. You can only measure it on the number of games played so far. And as we said, I think if you go, let's just go back a dozen games, which includes the end of last season. I think the winning record now is around about 33%. We played a Titans team, bottom of the table, and we played them at home, and we'd come off the back of a disappointing loss. I expected the Warriors to go out there and make a statement, and all they did was, it was almost a case of deja vu. Started brilliantly, then the moment the Titans put us under any pressure, we just capitulated. Look, I think Andrew Webster's got to have that ability to seriously look at where Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is playing. He's made some statements. He might have backed himself into a corner. Does he have the ability to swallow his pride and make some change there? I think Sean Johnson, we just look one-dimensional on attack, don't we? It's so predictable when we get into the red zone with Sean. It's just kick, or it's sort of run laterally and look for the sort of the little layoff. And I think defences are reading us just too easily. There's just something missing at the moment.
Yeah, it feels like it, doesn't it?
we're not losing badly. We're not getting thrashed. But boy, it's going to need to be turned around very quickly. At some point, it does start to become a bit of a mental block. And at what point do we start to see a little bit of psychological damage? Winning's a habit. Equally, losing, really can also become a habit. Look, you cannot fault the Warriors for their marketing, for what they're doing. As I said last week, I think there's a lot of people out there that want this Warriors team to succeed, maybe just for rugby to wake up and get its shit together. But I'll keep saying that the best form of marketing is ultimately winning, and the tables will start to turn if they genuinely can't start stringing some wins and some performances back to back.
3 really tough games coming up: away Newcastle, away the Roosters, home Penrith, and I feel that 2 out of those 3 have got to be won, because you don't want to be 2 or 3 games below the 500 heading into the halfway point of the season. It is really difficult to, you need 13 or 14 wins just to make the 8.
Apologise to me!
Should Tim Southee be going to the T20 World Cup? I love these teal uniforms. They remind me of 1999, is what they're meant to do, the retro look and things. But I look at their bowling lineup and I think, okay, so Ben Sears doesn't go, O'Rourke doesn't go. Is Southee really got the cutting edge that we need? This is, a world tournament, and I think the selectors have to be ruthless, and I don't think that they have been. It's very difficult to call time on anyone's career, and you always sort of think that as an athlete that they want to call time on their own. But Mark, it doesn't wait for anyone, and we saw over the summer that he's lost any express pace he might have had. He's got a few variances in the way that he bowls, all of that kind of stuff, but I just don't know whether or not he's the guy that can lead our bowling attack.
No, he's not. He shouldn't go. The Australians would have cut him by now. We've always been quite conservative with our cricket, and I think we're very conservative under Gary Stead at the moment. Look, he's got a legacy. He's part of that. You've got this whole thing about experience, youthful exuberance versus experience. Some people will say experience is only a supplement for talent, not a substitute, and I'm a little bit like that when it comes to T20 cricket. I think we need something fresh. I think we need something young and dynamic. Tim Southee's not going to win us a T20 cricket game. Tim Southee's probably going to lose us a T20 cricket game. We just haven't seen enough from him. He's not strong enough with the bat either. I remember
he's disappointing with the bat, mate. Don't even start me on his batting. I just find it so frustrating, the fact that he just goes out there and he just wogs at absolutely everything. Never plays for the team. Never knuckles down and tries to actually build an innings. Nothing like that, and he never has. So now don't even start me on the batting, mate.
No, but it's interesting too, because I think, when he first played, I think it was the first test, he might have scored 70 odd against England. I remember that. And I thought, we've got a genuinely good rounder here, all-rounder that can come in and do what Chris Cairns has done and Hadley had done prior to that. And he's just never really shown it. And, there was talk around his captaincy in the recent series here in New Zealand against Australia and some of the decisions that he did make. And, T20 game is fairly fickle. If you're gonna have fast bowlers, they have to be effective. And I just think at the moment he's sort of bowling in no man's land. Look, the Trent Boult selection is also an interesting one. This is a guy who's pretty much a gun for hire now, decides to pick and choose when he wants to play for New Zealand. I'm a little bit down the same lines as Trent Boult. I'm just like, why are you here? You haven't wanted to play for us previously. The money's more important to you now, which you're entitled to do. You've left a legacy. And I just wonder whether it is a time to move on. I mean, I look at that team. Are we going to win the T20 Cricket World Cup? Nah, I don't think so. I just don't think so. I just don't think there is just enough excitement there anymore. I just don't think there's enough X factor. I think, again, we're just going with too much of a level of predictability. And I'm not sure that we got the batting to prop this team up in the face of maybe some weak or tired-looking bowling attack.
Samipeni Finau, are you enjoying these big hit tackles?
Yeah, I absolutely. I don't understand what the controversy is around that stuff. It's just good, solid defence. It sort of takes me back to the days of Sammy Tui Tupou and even Michael Jones. I mean, if you're slightly, the guy's committed to a tackle, man, they are going, Brian Lee Maher, the chiropractor, they are going to be bone-jarring tackles. You are going to look twice. I mean, rugby league live on that stuff. People jump up and down when those big tackles are made. And because it's a marquee player, or it might appear to be slightly late or whatever it is, you can't suddenly turn it into this great controversy. That's what rugby is. It's a gladiatorial game. We love the big hits. We love a little bit of on-field controlled, let's call it violence, the gladiatorial side of it. So more the merrier. And, let's make some statements. Let's send a message to the opposition early. Look, if you're, too loose or a little bit late around the fringes, we are going to absolutely put you on the hurt box. And good luck to all sides. I mean, there's a reason why these guys go into the gym. There's a reason why these guys play the game they play, because they love the contact. And we, as a crowd, love the contact. As we, as a crowd, love the biff. We love the physical stuff. That's why a lot of people watch it and prefer it over things like football, because of the nature of the game, because of the tackle and the collision side of it, Martin.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full.
We need to talk.
We got a game to play.
We need to talk.
Next! It's called What is More Chance of Happening, Lachlan. I give you 2 scenarios. You tell me out of the 2 what is more chance of happening.
Next!
The Warriors do make the top 4. Or the Lakers win Game 5 here, kicking off in about 10 minutes, and take it back to Game 6 in LA against the defending champion Nuggets. What is more chance of happening?
The Lakers win Game 5.
Do they?
Yep.
You honestly believe they can?
It's got more chance of happening than the Warriors making the top 4.
Okay. Next! Let's go through the Warriors where they sit at the moment. Okay, as I said, 3-1-4 people. Next 4 games, Knights away, Roosters away, Penrith. That's the magic round. Dolphins at home. How many of those are going to be won? Well, I'd say that the Knights and the Dolphins are the 2 that they'll be targeting. The other 2, we've got to play our absolute best. From that point on, there are 12 games remaining. This is the schedule for the Warriors, ladies and gentlemen. How many of these are going to be won? Let's just go through them, Lachlan, and you tell me. And then we can work out, let's just do the projections right now, where the Warriors are going to be at the end of the season. Based on current form. Cowboys away, win or loss. That's got to be considered
That's a really
chance.
tricky one.
I think that's a chance right now because they're not playing well. They've lost 3 in a row, the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, and they leak a lot of points.
Okay, well, let's... Yeah,
it's a tricky one.
I'd like to give that a... Storm at home.
Loss.
Yeah, we don't beat them. Titans away. That's a win. Broncos...
Well, hold on, they just lost to them at home.
Yeah, well, we're not going to lose to them twice in a season. Good God, it's the only game that they're going to play.
Maybe the Titans are the Warriors' kryptonite.
Broncos at home. See, look, we can't beat these teams. Show me or tell me exactly how we're going to beat Melbourne and Brisbane and Penrith because we haven't been able to do it. Dogs away. That's a win.
Based on current form, is that a win?
Yeah, I think
sure?
so. Well, the Dogs are so up and down. I mean, we've got to beat them. If we can't beat them, we don't deserve to be in the 12. In the 8. Raiders away. Yeah. Now, if Sharks can put 40 on them, we went there last year and won. I'm back in that. Tigers at home. Eels at home.
Yeah.
Dolphins away.
Are you sure? Look, this is the
Dolphin
thing.
season will be dead by then, mate.
No, you don't know that because the Dolphins are in the 8 right now. They're higher than the Warriors in the table. Are they? I think
Manly away.
Loss.
Dogs at home.
At home? Win.
Yeah, do the double.
Well, you said Dogs away win, didn't you?
Yeah. We'll beat them twice.
Well, they're improving.
Sharks away.
Loss. Stop.
If that's the case, we would finish the season 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 wins.
Okay.
12 wins.
I've run some numbers.
12, 1 and 11 will not get you in.
I've run some numbers, all right? From the 2016 NRL season right up until now, not including 2020, well, no, somewhat including because 2020 there's only 20 games played. You have to win 16 games to get into the top 4. Twice a team with 15 wins finished 4th. Once a team with 14 wins, but that was in 2020. They were 14-6. So they won 14 out of 20 games. So the Warriors pretty much have to win 16 games or 15 wins, a draw, and 8 losses might be enough.
See, this is it, people.
So what is their win count right now, the Warriors? It's 3, isn't it?
3.
How many games left? 16?
Mm-hmm.
They've got to win 13 games.
Well, see, that is just prohibitive, is it, people? 13 out of 16?
You've got to win 13 out of 16 to make the top 4. Hoping that history hasn't repeated itself and maybe that is enough.
These are the numbers. What is more chance of happening? The Warriors make the top 4 or the Crusaders make the 8 in Super Rugby?
No, Crusaders make the 8. Look, absolutely. Stop it. Absolutely. The Crusaders have a relatively
this is why I started
easy
the show
run.
by saying we've got to reset now in terms of where the Warriors are at.
It's not an anti-Warriors thing. It's a realist thing. They've got to win 13. History tells us they've got to win 13 of their last. They've got to go 13-3 in their remaining games this year to pretty much make life easy for themselves to get into the top 4.
What is more chance of happening then? The Warriors do make the top 4, go 13-3 in the last 16 games, people, or the Black Caps win the T20 World Cup.
Warriors
See, I
make
think
top
that's
4
multi-verses.
or Black Caps, Black Caps, excuse me. Warriors make top 4 or Black Caps win T20 World Cup. Warriors make top 4.
The Rugby League Hour every Monday on the program between 3 and 4, courtesy of Microbiome Solutions. Myself and Tony Kemp look at all the NRL news, do the reviews, and have a special guest every week. And this week, none other than Daniel Anderson, the former Warriors coach. We all know the Daniel story, what has happened subsequent in his life. What a pleasure it was to have him on the show. Daniel, Tony says that you're still heavily involved with the Roosters in terms of recruitment.
That's correct. Yeah, head of recruitment there. So watching players in every game, and juniors more than likely. I know that we get a little bit of a bad rap because we have got some young Kiwi boys, but I know now the Warriors are going to be formidable. It used to be a honey hole for Australian teams, but winning the Harold Matthews on the weekend, the under-17s comp, every boy's going to want to play for the Warriors. Makes my job harder.
Yeah, and how's it looking, Ando? What does it say about the Australian game that a Kiwi side can come in on its first year and win that comp?
It shows it's very even, mate. It's at that age, 17s, you only need, 3 or 4 real star players, and then the rest of the boys be able to hold their gloves up, and that's a winnable competition for anyone. 19s is harder. They've got more. The class starts to rise a bit more then. So great job by the Warriors in the young ages, but 19s is probably the second best comp outside the NRL in the whole rugby league universe in the Southern Hemisphere.
Got to ask you about how the Warriors are tracking. It was only weeks ago. Several Aussie commentators were saying this is a side that can win the premiership. Well, the last 3 weeks have been very tough. So what are you seeing?
I would say that Broncos and Penrith are still the teams. I don't think there's anyone that's come near them yet for like the high points of a performance. The Warriors are finding it like every other team. It's difficult to string wins together, and whether it's because of the physical nature of the competition or it only takes you to lose 1 or 2 players through suspension or injury and you suddenly become very vulnerable. So, look, the Warriors are not too different from the Roosters. I think they've got 3 or 4 wins. If you can get 4 wins in a row, you are going to go from mid-table to top of the table, and that's just what you see with the Melbourne Storm at the moment. They've only just won.
And are you when you're talking about this competition and how tough it's getting, there's lots of talk about the rule changes. They're talking about the kick-off changing at the moment. How do we stop collision? What rules do we make that sort of keep the game exciting? Have you thought a little bit about that and what you would make changes to if you had to?
Yeah, I have thought about it. We speak about it in-house with Trent Robinson and some of the coaching staff. We're trying to predict, Kempy and Martin, where the game's going to be in 2 years, 3 years, so that you can recruit players which suit that competition. That's the most difficult thing at the moment. So the short dropouts and the short kickoffs, especially the short dropouts, is literally a lottery. It's a great contest. And so everyone's looking for height because you've got to bring that down for starters. And as you said, the kickoffs is an interesting one because it's a dynamic collision, which is very much our sport. No one could forget Kempy Fita Paliacina.
No.
And that was his bread and butter. He was the number one in history of the game at the kickoff. But the injuries are normally coming, it's not from the players, it's 3 players trying to squeeze into 2 spots in the defensive line. And even Moses Suli on the weekend, it was Jaden Sewer who pushed him into Jared Warrior-Hargraves' collision in an uncomfortable manner. So I think coaches are going to have to be aware of their own tackle technique. And that's a lot of things we did 20 years ago. Some of the coaching techniques are starting to come back into the fore now.
Daniel, in terms of I don't know if I want to say intrusion, we're getting it a lot in sport though. We've got the VAR, which is always causing controversies in English football. You've got the TMO in rugby, of course. You've got the bunker in rugby league. And we saw it in the Warriors game, the absolute minutiae of a Wade Egan knock on, or did Devlin get his hand to the ball and whether that's a try or not. What are your thoughts on all of that? Would you rather that it's ref by the rules, or do you like the technology and the way that technology is now deciding so many of these incidents in games?
Oh, Martin, look, I've got to confess here. I was in charge of the referee.
I know.
When we brought in
That's
the
what I'm
try
asking
no
you.
try with the referee. So,
Yeah.
mate, I'm no mug to say that was a bad decision. So I do like the bunker. I know that it's difficult. I'm a big believer in showing replays in normal speed.
Yep, totally agree.
Because you cannot possibly have no separation when you bring a grubber kick from the air to the ground. It's impossible unless you grab it. So when you're doing a one-handed put down, there's separation. So I'm just even if it's a double movement, show it normal speed. See if his upper body ends up over the line. I don't know. You guys are watching as many games as I am. The NFL has become, it's about attacking play. So all of us realists and purists that love a dour defensive game, that's not what the Boffins want in marketing. They want tries. So I think the bunker should lean on, give it a try if it's that hard to separate.
Yeah.
And let's get some points in our games.
Yeah, good call, Ander. Hey, mate, just before we let you go, how's the health these days here in Copen?
Yeah, mate, the reason where, I had to delay a bit, I was at therapy this morning, so still doing that regularly 3 times a week. If I saw you now, Kempy, you'd say I look better.
Yeah.
But it's a minute thing. My left hand still doesn't do much. My right hand is carrying the heavy lifting. And, I'm on robotics with walking and stepping and things like that. So I'm better than I was 2 months ago. Let's see how I progress in another 2 months. But I'm healthy, mate, mentally, enjoying my work and enjoying getting out, watch my girls play soccer on Sunday. So a bit of real-life experience is good.
The Tight Five.
5 separate sporting topics, roughly a minute or so on each. And when the bell reminds us, we go on to the next topic. Actually, got a few more than 5. Let's rock and roll through them. Nations Championship in Qatar. Odds on that happening, Lachlan, even though whoever Sanzar is, says it isn't happening. Daniel Anderson, and talking to Daniel yesterday, your thoughts and impressions from that. Leicester City have won the championship. They're straight back up to the Premier League. Michael Laws celebrating as a result. Football Manager says your new Liverpool manager is going to be gone by February next year. Australian Rugby are $9.2 million in debt already, and it's only the end of April. We'll talk about Billy Vunipola. We'll talk about Travis Kelce, who's re-signed with Kansas for 2 more years. 2 more years of Tay-Tay on your NFL TV. Samipeni Finau, we're going to ask Matt Gunn about this in about an hour. We already spoke to Watto about it. The Black Caps teal kit, do you like? We've spoken plenty about the Warriors. We'll leave that alone. Let's start then with the Nations Championship in Qatar. Now, just to refresh your memory on what this is a new international rugby tournament where they're blending the hemispheres. It's quite a good idea on paper, I think, because what they're trying to do is to make the July tests and the November test, those 2 international windows, meaningful. So it's a bit like what's going on with international cricket at the moment. Instead of these countries coming down here like, they have over years and bringing weakened teams and everything, you'll get points for these matches. Like when England come down for 2 tests, you'll get points for those matches. You'll get points when we go up there in November and play the 4 tests. You'll accumulate these points, and every 2 years you get together and the six nation side are ranked according to those points. The rugby championship sides plus Fiji and Japan are ranked according to those points. Then over 3 days, 6 plays 6, 5 plays 5. Next day, 4 plays 4, 3 plays 3. Third and final day, 2 plays 2, and you get the grand final 1 playing 1. They're calling it the Super Bowl of international
So it's
rugby.
not the whole tournament?
That's the whole tournament in 3 days.
But
each team only plays one
they're
game.
ranked based on previous windows, international windows.
Yeah,
right.
So it covers a couple of bases. It should mean that the best teams are the best teams. Well, you will get, I suppose, weird results happening in these international windows, won't you? But it also means, hopefully, that the international windows become meaningful and because of the prize money on offer, that countries won't rest their best players and they will play them and bring their best teams.
Yeah, probably.
Qatar have bid almost £1 billion for this. Do they get it? Even though Sanzar says no, they won't.
They've promised commercial returns of £800 million.
Okay, it's not a bad whack.
Pretty damn well. It's good
Not a
for
bad-
rugby.
well,
Rugby,
hell yes.
that kind of money for rugby is incredible.
Well, it just doesn't. Where else do you raise that money? We tried to call Sansa. And once again, a guy called Brendan answered the phone. He's got no idea where the guy from Sansa is.
Office Max, Brendan here. Wait, what? I'm looking for Sansa. We don't have a Mr. Sansa.
We don't have his here, but is there a guy that looks as though he used to play rugby or has got a rugby ball on his desk that shares an office space? Oh, yes. Stephen. Yeah. He turns up once every 3 years. Yeah. Rearranges the desk, does a couple of emails, and that's the end of it. Tried to call New Zealand Rugby about this. Of course, no one's commenting either. Chris Jones, more on it in a sec. Daniel Anderson yesterday. After speaking with Daniel, what did you take away from that?
He's in damn good spirits for a guy whose life has been totally turned upside down.
Yeah.
Tragically, shockingly, surprisingly. Yeah, I can't. That's the main thing. I just find it incredible. People have been through things like that. Not that I've come across a huge number of them, but just what he's younger than my father. He's younger than you.
He's younger than me, mate.
He's 56, and he goes through a freak accident.
He died.
Yeah.
They revived him. And you know how I think that most of us have considered this question in our own minds, haven't we? What say that happened to us? Would we want to live? How would we want to live? All of those questions.
How do you recalibrate your perspective on your life that all of a sudden you can be grateful and pleased that
you're alive?
Well,
he's got 2 daughters. He's still got a family life. He said he's happy. He said he is happy in that interview. Just about broke my heart listening to him, man, because you don't know what to say. What did I say to him at the end? I love you, Daniel. I'm just overwhelmed by it, you know? Wonderful talking to him about rugby league, and he says he wants to come over in a year and watch the Warriors. Well, Dan, we're going to that game with him, aren't we? He's a really good mate of Tony's. If you didn't hear that interview, people, I really, I urge you to go and listen to it on the podcast or go back via Platform Plus or just jump the Rugby League out and have a good listen. Football Manager says you knew.
What is Football Manager?
It's a video conference game.
Well, so there's no point even taking this seriously.
Is there not?
If Football Manager said that Manchester United are winning the Premier League next year, you wouldn't even want to talk about it. You wouldn't care because you'd sit there and say, it's a video game, it's a stupid algorithm, it doesn't matter. I'm going to say the same thing
for
this.
Are you confident that your new manager?
I don't know.
The new Dutch Ralph
I'd never heard of him. I'd never heard of him until a week or two ago. I've seen a video of him giving his team, giving Feyenoord some sort of pep talk after a big win, and he seems to say all the right things. He seems to get on well.
Is he another Jurgen Klopp?
I don't know. Well, I don't know, but you don't know that he's not. This is the thing. You have no idea.
I'm loving it.
There's a terrible history in terms of Dutch managers and Dutch players coming to the Premier League. Then again, the last 2 Dutch managers off the top of my head managing big clubs are Erik ten Hag and before that Louis van Gaal, who did not get enough time and who was sacked after 2 years. So that was
how much time has your new Liverpool boss got?
I think we'll give him a lot of time. The one thing that gives me faith is that the blokes in charge of Liverpool now, Michael Edwards, who was running the football side of things for about 7 years before he left and has now come back, and this guy Richard Hughes, who he highly rates, who Richard Hughes was at Bournemouth. I think it's Richard Hughes. Someone Hughes. I think it's Richard. Michael Edwards, you're going to hate this, ran this statistical analysis algorithm type thing.
He's your guy.
Michael Edwards spat out an equation that said that Jurgen Klopp's the manager to sign way back in 2015. And with that same algorithm, they worked out, we need to buy these players, these players, these players. He wanted Mo Salah. Jurgen Klopp didn't want Mo Salah. This guy, Michael Edwards, did. Jurgen Klopp wanted Julian Draxler. But he said, no, get Salah. He's going to tear it up. He did. So assuming they're using a similar sort of model to find the next manager and new players, I have hope that it's going to work because it worked before.
Okay.
It worked before.
Did his algorithm calculate the fact that Klopp and Salah would have a spat on the sideline? Did it calculate that?
Can I just say one thing as well? People are going to be quick to compare this to Man United with Van Halen and Man United with Ten Hag. The one thing that we have that you guys don't is, for the most part, pretty decent players in terms of their personality and human being. You've got a bunch of players who have thrown how many managers under the bus? We've got guys who have won trophies. What have you guys won?
Leicester City have won the championship, and so they basically we have won the Instagram war in terms of how many people are on
that
there.
picture I sent
How many
you
people are
a
on the
couple of weeks ago
friggin'
said,
Instagram?
if the Premier League table was based on Instagram followers,
Yeah,
Man
well,
United.
Man United win. Leicester City have won the championship straight back up. If you're interested in this, ladies and gentlemen, it's between Leicester and Leeds for the second automatic promotion spot. Could go down to the very last round. Travis Kelce has re-signed with Kansas City. He's the most well-paid tight end in the NFL. He's re-signed for 2 years. What this means is 2 years...
You can't steal my take.
Well, that's what I'm absolutely thieving it because you're exactly right. What this means is 2 more years of every time Travis Kelce catches the ball, there is Taylor Swift in the corporate box egging him on, providing they stay together.
I think they will. I think there's a commercial advantage
come
if they
on,
do.
man. Why don't you just say the love word? Why do you have to turn it into a money-making venture?
Let's jump into the bubble of Hollywood relationships for a second. How many marriages, how many long-term relationships in Hollywood work versus the ones that don't?
Yeah, okay, you're using Hollywood because these are 2 big superstars. I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, okay.
Well, I mean, when you're a big NFL superstar and you are the biggest pop artist in the world.
Let me put it like this. She's worth $1 billion. You're worth 150, if not $200 million. How can you not make this work? Your life is residing on private islands, going to VIP lounges, flying first class. It's not that difficult.
Look, if they truly love each other, both retire. Go buy a house somewhere in Italy and then just live your life. You don't need the money. Go do it.
Can I quote Tina Turner? What's love got to do with it? I wanted to use that line my whole life, Lachlan. Samipeni Finau, we like these tackles. I want to talk to Jeff about this, Jeff Parks about this after 3 o'clock. You like the tackles? You like the
They
big
don't
hits?
look right. They don't look right.
I must admit, if somebody had issued a caution for that one on the weekend, I wouldn't have objected because to me, it didn't look as though there was a hell of a lot of arm involved. There was a lot of shoulder.
Look, there's a lot of force to the upper body.
But what I like is I like the fear factor that the guys bring.
Yeah, but also when you watch these tackles, the player he's tackling, their heads snap.
Yeah.
So there's whiplash, right? There's a good chance they get whiplash. If you get whiplash, surely that's not good for your head. Or your spine or your neck.
Well, how that guy, how that guy's, mouth guard didn't register with the boffing out the back on his keyboard.
They've stopped doing the smart mouth guard.
Do you know what they've stopped doing it without telling us, ladies and gentlemen? They've removed the smart mouth guards. They haven't admitted that they're a failure like they were in the first round. They've just quietly removed them from Super Rugby and no one said a word.
Just quickly, I do like it because you're right. We need that fear factor in our 4-pack because at least with guys like Shannon Frizzell, who is horribly inconsistent, can't stay on the field, Sam Cane and Artie Savia, he don't really scare me. I mean, Artie can scare you, but he's not huge.
You're not Jerry Collins,
At least last year, the loose full trio didn't scare people. That South Africa one scared me, really scared me. So someone like Samipeni who's doing that, what Jerry Collins did, what Jerome Kano did. No, we absolutely need it.
Black Caps teal kit, you like?
Excuse me. Jeez. Yeah, I do. I do like it. I think the Black Caps have always done well with their teal kits. I've actually wanted to get one of their older... They had a teal kit years ago, didn't they? Everyone wanted to buy one.
1999 One Day World Cup.
Yeah,
who else played in a teal kit?
Mate, I was a year and a half.
All whites. 1981 or 82 versus Saudi Arabia. We had to go and win 5-0 in that game to qualify for the World Cup. Well, actually, just to go to a playoff to qualify for the World Cup. And the All Whites wore the teal kit. Now, I tried to resurrect this when I was on TV1 in 2010, hosting the Football World Cup, and said, why don't we do a retrofit jerseys, teal kit, they bring out... Oh, God, by the time that the marketing department and the PR department got hold of it...
Why couldn't you just do it yourself and then charge them?
It was a white and black shirt. I'm not joking, Lachlan. It turned into a white and black shirt. Yeah, just brilliant, wasn't it? And finally, Billy Vernapola. Can we say that should be... Razor should introduce this for every single All Black that wants to be an All Black this year. 2 tasers. Whoever gets up after the second one, you're in the forward pack, right?
So you've got
We're making light of this.
Yeah, we are, but you're getting into a bit of an issue here because if Razor's standing there, Razor with the taser, he's standing there he's tasing his players. Well, what if pretty much 18 of the match day 23 don't get up?
Good.
Do you run out there with 5 players?
Well, no, you just basically that's the qualifier. Go back and play some provincial rugby and get hard. The Nations Championship. What is this? This is this new international rugby competition where the Six Nations side play off against the Rugby Championship sides, Aden, Fiji and Japan. It's going to happen every couple of years. Timed around World Cup years. Qatar have put in a big bid for this. They're calling it 3 days of rugby, that is akin to the Super Bowl of the sport. Chris Jones, Times Online and rugbypass.com, running his expert eye over whether or not they are going to clinch and host Qatar. The Saudi Arabian, or rather the Middle East, getting their hands into rugby for a start.
Yeah, and I just can't work out why they think they might have the successful play for this, because all they're offering is £800 million over 8 years for the Six Nations and for Sanders to share out. Now, why would that interest the governing bodies of the major unions? Can you answer that question?
Yes, because nobody else is bidding and nobody else is putting anything like that kind of money up. I mean, when you actually compare that to what some other sports are getting, it is peanuts, isn't it? But I suppose for rugby, I mean, this is a huge amount of cash.
Oh, it is, yeah. For the Australian Rugby Union, I mean, they would come and play in a tournament for 2 packets of crisps and $10. They're desperate for any money. But, this is big bucks for rugby union at a time when we know that every union's struggling. And England are just putting together a new deal for their players, which will give them a lot more control of their players, but they're having to pay £230 million for that over a set period. So, they've got to generate that money from somewhere. And you've got Qatar offering this sort of money. What they want is a sort of a Super Bowl weekend where over one weekend they'll play six playoff matches every 2 years from 2026. And, I can't see the union saying no to this. Unless somebody comes up with more money. I don't know if that's America, great, but I can't see the Americans being able to fund this sort of money. As we know, major sports are going out to Saudi Arabia and Qatar because they are the big players now.
So a 3-day Super Bowl of rugby, what is it going to involve?
6 matches. The playoff matches after the initial games in this fantastic new Nations Cup that everybody wants, because it's not more matches for the players, and I'm sure they'll be absolutely delighted to be taken out, as we know the footballers were, to Qatar, where it's really cool and great for rugby. High intensity matches played in boiling sunshine. I'm sure what could go wrong. And of course, the good news is, given some of the other stories we're going to talk about, is, of course, it'll be alcohol-free.
Okay, right, all right. So, none of this, of course, is going to influence at all anyone from SANZAR or the Six Nations, because all they're doing is basically going ching, 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 ching.
Very much so. I mean, this is a massive cash injection, isn't it? Whichever way you look at it. Yeah, and I can't think of any of the unions who are in a position at the moment. Perhaps France could say, look, we're doing okay really with our own TV deal, but everybody else will be grasping this money so quickly that I think it's probably a done deal already, quite honestly. They've asked for a period of exclusivity, and they want to know in a short time whether they're going to be given that by the organisers of this Nations Cup. And I should think that's a done deal as well. They will get the exclusivity because they're offering so much money. It's £100 million a year.
2 other stories then, and both involving players, and both involving off-field behaviour, that has hit the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Let's start with the latest. Billy Vunipola arrested in Spain.
Yes, arrested by 8 policemen at 4:30 in the morning. He was hit by 2 taser shots, and people think immediately, wow, such a big bloke, 20 stone. They had to use 2 tasers. As the police said, unfortunately, when we fired the first one, it went into his wallet. You couldn't make it up. So they had to shoot him again with a taser. And this time they missed his wallet and actually got some fleshy bits, and he keeled over. And they were able to jump on top of him, arrest him. He was taken to hospital. He had to be restrained in the bed while he sort of sobered up, appeared in court, was fined €240 and given a 4-month suspended sentence. He arrived back some hours ago back at Stansted Airport. Funnily enough, he didn't stay in Mallorca to face the music, not only from his club Saracens, who had given the players a week off because they're not involved in the European semi-finals this coming weekend. And I would think that the Rugby Football Union will probably want a word with him as well, because I think there must be the opportunity for them to bring a charge of bringing the game into disrepute to come his way. And so we may not see him in Saracens colours again for the rest of the season, which means not again for the club, because he's off to France unless Montpellier decide what are we buying?
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. LBP, let's be positive. Matt Gunn, every single Tuesday on the program. LBP from TMG, that's Let's Be Positive, from Twizel's Matt Gunn. Do we still rate the Warriors as a real chance in the NRL? Plus, Paul Kent acting like, well, you decide. He was goated. Was he a pork chop? Should he have behaved in the way that he behaved on the weekend? And will he be welcomed back onto Fox Sport League? Matt Gunn. Well, it's got to improve for us Warriors fans, mate, because that's 3 performances in a row, very unconvincing. And when you start breaking down the season now, a couple of these games, Sharks, brilliant start, lost that game. Titans, brilliant start, lost that game. St George, brilliant start, couldn't hang on, got flogged in that game. Manly gave us, an escape out of jail card. Had the Melbourne Storm on the rack, blew that game. Matt, it's too easy for too many Warriors fans to get all giddy and gooey about this team. The reality of it is that we aren't playing well, and this is what you look for in this competition. It's patterns. And so give me something positive as we head to the Newcastle Knights, who just beat the bloody Dolphins.
Yeah, look, and that was a great return for them after losing Ponga, one of the greats in the competition, and just rallying. And I think that's what the Warriors need to do, Martin. Look, they look good at times, and they certainly weren't out of the game. They were certainly well beaten by the Dragons, but they haven't been too far away from the other games. I just think it's moments of inconsistency, and it's only been a few errors, a few drop balls, a few penalties given away that have been the difference. I think they definitely need to dig deep and lift. And that's only going to come within. It's not a team lacking skill. We've seen how well they can play. But, yeah, look, there's just a little bit of glue. There's a bit of gel that's not there at the moment. And, they're down in 12th with a red arrow going downwards. The season felt like it was going to be a lot better than where they're currently sitting.
Highlanders versus Force, you got to win and put you into the top 8, but rugby does not get worse than that. I think there's something to be, there's something to be proud about the fact that those players played in the worst game you'll probably see all year.
And still, it's not easy to get excited about the Highlanders moving up the ladder in that manner, because honestly, they won't compete at the end, and you're playing the Force. It's like those games where you 100% guarantee yourself to beat the Titans or the Rabbits. Look, I just can't get excited about the Highlanders, and quite frankly, I'd just rather move on.
Okay, Crusaders then. South Island rugby on the rise. 2 teams winning in one weekend, mate.
2 teams winning in 1 week. What an amazing difference a week can make. I mean, the beauty of it is okay, we get to say the 2 South Island teams won. But what we also have to realise, and we love being positive, is that neither side is worth a dog roll at the moment. And it's pretty hard to get on either of them and support them regardless of how many points they make. We serve mostly dog biscuits, Martin, with the odd little bone here and there. Yeah. But they're dog roll, these 2 teams. They're absolute dog roll. I'm not putting the Warriors in the dog roll category, but another couple of wins, another couple of losses, and they may be chop chop.
Okay, let's be positive to finish with about Paul Kent then, who probably won't get any MMA contracts after that, but he may actually lose his employment ones, which is a really serious situation. Look, I mean, I've been involved in situations myself. I've never been to that level, but people goading you, saying things and you overreact and all of that kind of thing. The problem he's got is that there is a camera there and he looked like a right pork chop. And on the back of the court case, give me a percentage chance of the last court case. He did get off, yeah, that's fine, he did, but give me a percentage chance now that he's involved in something else, out in public, an altercation, his employer's re-employing him or not.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's on suspension as they investigate it. I read this morning that a 35-year-old man has been charged with a fray. It didn't mention whether or not Kent would be, but ongoing investigations continue. Apparently, the young bloke has said something to the old dog. He's 54, Paul Kent. what he needs to realise is if he's going to sit on TV and have a go at every young rugby league player that gets into a scuffle, he can't go out and do it himself. It's pretty clear. You're 54, you're old, he doesn't look like he's swung a punch in his life. He'd probably had a couple. I'm not saying he was drunk, but, you know, goodness gracious, the only way you'd get me involved is if I was not in control of all my senses. Pork chop is a great way. Look, they've thrown the words at each other's way. Kento, he said, come at me. Bring it on. Bring it on. He's bold and he's ready to go. And then he just looks like an absolute shambles. And that's what I reckon I would have looked like, Martin, in a fight with a 35-year-old.
Same. I mean, it's
you know what I mean?
Nothing. When you actually, you know, pause to reflect. And so, you know, you're in this heated moment, in this wild moment, this angry moment. And then if you could just pause it there and then sort of divert over here a week later and then actually make your decision from this point as opposed to making it from this point. This is the thing that life does. It should teach us, but sometimes we don't get it.
No. It's a lesson that he would have learned over the years. Nobody likes it when someone's given some jip. The question is, in hindsight, would he have been better off to let the young bloke have a crack at him like he does at rugby league players every week and walk on by? Or would he rather look at the situation of himself staggering all over the street, laying down near a tree and looking like a fool? You're dead right. Take a deep breath, gentlemen. If you're 54, keep it in mind. Calm head, deep breath, let it go, move on to the next bar. Don't say to someone, bring it on, bring it on, when clearly he's never hit a punching bag in his whole life.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. That's our podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to the entire show, 1 till 4, Monday to Friday, download the Platform app, and via Platform Plus you can go back and listen to whatever shows over however many weeks at your leisure, at your listening pleasure. Platform Plus. First thing to do though is download the Platform app.
Devlin.
Unbelievable. Incredible.
The Platform.